Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I want to introduce you to Lindsey. This is a friend of mine. We have known each other for a little while, and we found each other through this way of eating, actually. And so I don't know a whole lot about Lindsay's story before changing her diet. So please help me welcome her. And we cannot wait to hear your story. I want to know where you came from and what life was like before you found your new way. So please tell us where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, I grew up eating like I guess the American standard diet. Um, but like we were considered like healthy eaters, we'd eat our fruits and veggies. I was never picky. I like everything. And then we'd have occasional treats. But I also grew up dancing. And in high school, I was dancing probably like 6 days a week. At one year, I was in 5 different dance companies, and I, like, naturally kind of did intermittent fasting even though, like, and like, it was, like, frowned upon to not eat breakfast when I was in high school, it probably still is, we'll see, I don't know, but, so it was very, like, lean, fit, like, it didn't really affect me that much. I did have, like, anemia on and off, but yeah, I felt really healthy, and then fast forward to after high school, I moved to from Massachusetts to Washington, and I did at one for a short time join a dance company over there, so I was still dancing. But then once I met my husband, and when we got married, I was working at Red Robin, and I didn't have the time to be dancing anymore. So I went from like being very active to not very active, and then working at Red Robin, where that is famous for their bottomless French fries, which is, when you're a waitress, you're nonstop, and then if you have a few seconds, you just grab what's available and you eat it. So my eating went out of the window, and my activity went out of the window, and so I slowly started gaining weight, and I didn't really notice. I just kind of felt like, whatever. This is, people always talk about the freshman 15. So I just kind of felt whatever, normal. I knew I wasn't dancing as much. I wasn't as active. And then like very soon after my husband and I got married, we also got pregnant. And it's just so crazy how much people encourage you to eat when you're pregnant. Like, eat for 2 all the time, you're eating for 2, what are you craving? Like, if you're craving a candy, people will always have it for you. Like, with my first, I was craving curly fries and Sour Patch Kids, and so I ate way too much of that, and so, you gain weight when you're pregnant naturally, but you also pack on some pounds, and, after I had her, my first daughter, I was able to lose weight again. But then I also got pregnant really quickly after with my second. They are 12 and a half months apart. And so after I had my second daughter, I did not have time to focus on losing weight. I was just trying to have 2 children under 2 and survive that. So I didn't pay attention to my eating. I was very focused on caring for my kids, not caring for myself. So I did gain a lot of weight then, just eating whatever was easiest. Um, And then with my third pregnancy, which is also my last pregnancy, I felt miserable. And then it turns out I was um, diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And I also had thyroid issues, my iron issues came back. And so I just had a lot of things that were not pleasant. And I remember um, when I first found out I had gestational diabetes, I was doing research and I came across a book by Lily Nichols called Real Food for Gestational Diabetes. And I picked it up and started reading it. And at the same time, I had to go to a nutrition class for gestational diabetes. And what I was reading and what I was taught were just completely different. And I was just, oh man, kind of, that's kind of where it started for
Oh
me.
my goodness. That so many times. It's so funny. You're so right. the pregnancy, and everyone's like, "Eat for 2 and eat whatever you want, and listen to your cravings," and
Yeah,
we don't understand that those cravings generally mean something else underlying.
right.
So, what ended up leading you to this way of eating? How did you find it? Which one of those, did either one of those educations or did anything work? How'd you find it?
Yeah, so the first time I ever heard of keto, I used to host coffee and muffins at my house for local moms, and we used to eat a bunch of muffins and drink coffee and just, talk and let our kids play. And someone told me about keto, but like it was just like, yeah, this girl, she's doing keto and she's like doing great. She's losing weight, but broccoli is worse than bacon. And, like, that's, like, always, like, what people's, like, misconceptions with, like, keto are like, "Oh, but, like, this fatty, terrible food," 'cause it's so fat-based that, like, I don't know, when you grow up learning about that, it's just, like, it's so hard to unlearn it, but yeah, so with the nutrition class, when I went, I was like, "I'm supposed to change my way of eating to this," and it was like they recommended oatmeal in the morning for somebody with diabetes, and I was just like "I don't even eat that now," like, pretty much what they were, like, telling me to eat with gestational diabetes was, like, close to what I was already eating, and so when I was reading the book, um, excuse me, it was, it was low carb, but it wasn't keto yet. So I didn't tell my doctor, but I decided to go along with what the book said instead of what the hospital said, and I was actually able to control, my numbers, except for for whatever reason, whenever I went to bed, it would spike. So I did end up having to take insulin before bed every night, which was rough, and I hated it. Um, but I was able to control it throughout the day otherwise with a low carb way of eating. Um, and it was like the first time I'd ever started to lose weight during pregnancy because I was losing fat instead of, gaining, packing it on like I had in the past. So that's what started it. But of course, once I had my last daughter, I was like, "Oh, I can finally eat again." And so for the next probably 6 months, I just ate what I wanted and just got bigger and bigger. And then eventually I just woke up and was like, "I don't want to be this way anymore." I'm like, "I am going to start keto once my daughter can eat solids." And so I started keto in I think 2019. And I think at my heaviest I was like 220. And I started keto in, I think, April of 2019. And over to the rest of the year, I stayed keto and I had lost 80 pounds within those next few months and felt amazing. Was just shocked at how easy it was for me to lose weight after gaining it and, dealing with everyone thinking I was crazy. But at the same time, I was like, it's working though. Um, but then in 2020, I didn't know I had heard about carnivore, but I wasn't like really, it was one of those things where I'm like, that's cool, but I'll never do it because I don't think I could. And so I had heard about World Carnivore Month in the middle of January, and I was like, well, maybe I'll start it in February. So I did a month of carnivore for the first time, February 2020. And it just blew my mind, like, the amount of energy I had, how I felt so good, I felt so, like, fully satiated, I wasn't constantly wanting snacks. With keto, it was like, "Okay, what snack can I have now? What snack can I have that's will fit with my macros?" And so carnivore was just great when I did it for a month. And, like, a really weird thing happened where it probably sounds crazy, but I just noticed, like, all of these old aches from, like, my dancing days coming back and then leaving, and then, like, never bothering me again, and I was like, "What is my body doing?" It was just strange. So yeah, and then after that, I was pretty much ketovore. I was very, very into meat after that, but I still liked my salads. I still liked, you know, I don't know, I'm a sucker for cucumbers and pickles. So I still kept that, but since last August, I've switched fully carnivore, and that's where I'm at right now.
So, what are you eating in a day? Just for an idea.
Yeah, today I decided to do 1 meal a day, and I literally just grilled 2 huge T-bone steaks, just salted. I didn't add any butter or anything else, and that's what I ate today. But I have other days where I'll have, 2 meals. People are always like, "Well, what do you eat for breakfast?" I'm like, "Well, eggs and bacon, like, that's easy." That's everyone should, a lot of people eat that for breakfast. So I do a lot of eggs and bacon, a lot of different cuts of steak on different days, and I'm, like, trying to incorporate seafood because I, like, forget it exists. So I have, sometimes I'll cook up some shrimp with my steak, or, I tried sardines the other day. And I was like, if the world ends, I guess I can stockpile these and be okay, but I'm probably not gonna like eat these that regularly. But I don't know. I mean, I'm all about trying new things. I don't love organs. I try to like them, but it just hasn't worked yet. So typically it's like a steak of some kind for me. If I'm having more than one meal, I'll probably incorporate eggs in some way, but mostly steak.
So, do you find that you feel better on because you said steak, so do you feel better on beef or are you able to eat other kinds as well? Is it just beef is easier? Why did you settle kind of on steaks for the most part?
They're delicious. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really had any issues with any other kinds of meat. Like, I don't really do pork unless it's bacon. Um, but yeah, like I do chicken, but I love chicken wings. I'll do a lot of chicken wings or drumsticks, or I mean, I'll roast a whole chicken for the family. And um, I do try to switch it up. I mainly stick to beef, but I don't want to get bored. So that's a lot of times when I'll throw in like, I'll make chicken wings, or like I got a smoker for Christmas, so I smoked a whole turkey the other day. Like I try to like switch it up and like do fun things, but I mean I don't feel that bored with it. I felt very content and satisfied.
Yeah. Have you noticed any differences in your mental state between carnivore and keto, and then of course standard American diet?
Yeah, I definitely have less brain fog. I mean, I have 3 children under like 7 and under, so there's still like the mom brain, that's real. But, like, it's not as bad as it used to be, and, like, I'm not an anxious person. Um, I definitely think I did deal with some of that closer to birth with my other children, but, like, I don't feel anxious. Um, generally happy. Um, but yeah, I can focus more. I feel like I can, be paying attention more to things around me. I'm not as, like, groggy throughout the day.
Yeah, mom brain, it's a real
It is
thing.
real.
It really is. So for anyone who is nervous about going carnivore, what would be your words of advice to them?
Um, well, you don't have to jump in right away. I mean, my story is very gradual. I didn't even start keto, I started low carb. And then I gradually, as I felt better, like, you can work your way up to it. And, um, just try it. Like, I thought I could never do carnivore. I was like, no way, that's intense and hard. And I did it for a month, the shortest month of the year. And so the month I picked, February. And you don't even have to do it for 3 days, do it for 28 days. Do it for a week. Just try it, see how you feel. I mean, I don't necessarily think everyone needs to do carnivore. If it's not for you, you're probably be able to tell in your body, but I mean, for a lot of people, it's been great. So it doesn't hurt to try, even if you try for a week. Like, just start somewhere. Yeah.
I love that. Just keep it simple. So many times we overcomplicate things and it's, oh, you have to track these macros and do it for this long and, jump into it. And I love your approach of just Yeah, go ahead. Shortest month of the year. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us. And I hope that it helps to encourage someone who may be considering or maybe thinking, oh, yeah, I'm doing great on low carb or keto. There's always room for improvement and to take a step in the right direction. That is the most important thing. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. And we wish you all of the best luck.
Yeah, thank you.